Okay, before we look at these problems, I want to make you a note. On none of these problems, grouping will not work. Okay? A cube's length is 3 more than the height. The cube's width is 4 more than the height. The volume of the cube is 60 cubic units. Find dimension of the cubes. You got to find the length, width, and height. So we're going to set it up the same way we did last time, but now it's talking volume. So that means there's 3 dimensions equals volume. So the volume they give us is 60. Now, so length, width, height, I would just put it in that order. That's how you find volume. Now, you're going to write that all in terms of the same variable. How? Well, you got 2 is expressions to write, so equals. Length is 3 more than the height, so we put h. 3 more means plus 3. And then my other one, width is, so w equals 4 more than the height, so that would be my h. You know, h doesn't have a multiplier, it's just 4 more, so that's plus 4. Now in the L parentheses, you put h plus 3, because that's what L equals. In the W, put h plus 4. And then here we're just going to put h. Okay. Now it's all in terms of the same variable. Now the hard part is multiplying it out. Okay. Let's start with these two. If you want to put a 1, you can, but it's 2 terms by 2 terms. The pluses mean 2 terms. So h times h times 4, 3 times h, and 3 times 4. Okay. And it doesn't matter the order you multiply. I would multiply the 2 by 2 first, okay? Because multiplying it by 1 term is pretty simple. H times h is h to the second, and then 4h, then 3h, and then 12. So you got your h to the second. You add those because those go together. That'd be 7h. And then the 12 is your constant. Now you're not done, okay? Because you have another dimension here. Okay, well this is 3 terms. This is 1 term. So really, I'm just taking 3 by 1. So I take 1h to the second times 1h. Then I take 7h times 1h. And then I take 12 times 1h. 1 times 1 is 1. H second times h is h to the third. 7, because it would be 2 plus 1. 7 times 1 is 7. H times h is to the second. I'm going to separate that right there so you can see where we're going. That's going to be 12h. Okay. Now you're good to go. 1h to the third plus 7h to the second plus 12h equals 60. Now we got rid of all the parentheses. Okay. So you did your 2 by 2. Got this, then you did 3 by 1, and you got this. That's how I'm getting it off to the side. So now it's time to solve for h. H has 3 roots, but guess what? I don't need to find all 3. I'll explain why here in a second. So we got h to the third. Well, you got h to the second, you got h to the first, and you got your constant. Okay? So that's 4 terms. You need to move them all to one side. So that just comes over here. Doesn't have a like term. Now, how many terms do we have? It's got 4, but I told you grouping's not going to work. Okay? Well, if grouping doesn't work, we apply our RRT. RRT, then we use the L. Okay? All right, so the RRT, we take our constant 60, our leading coefficient 1. Okay? Factors of 60, 160, 230, 3 and 20, 4 and 15, 5, 12, sorry, this says a lot, 6 and 10, and that's it, because 7 and 8 and 9 are decimals, then you're just back to, and then 1's 1. So really it's just all these numbers here. They could be negative or positive, but since I'm measuring dimensions, I probably just want to go with the positives, okay? So I plug 1 in. So 1 parentheses 1 to the third plus 7 parentheses 1 to the second plus 12 parentheses 1 minus 60. Okay, 1 didn't work. 2's on the possibility list. Okay, that's 0. Now, you could put 2 there, but guess what? Who cares what the other two answers are? 2's my height. 2's a great height to have. Means I'm going to get 2 other answers, but they're just going to be wacky negatives or I numbers, whatever. Okay, so that's the beauty on these. Okay, I don't really, to solve the overall problem, 2's good enough. Then I go into the equations and put 2's for my h's. So 2 plus 3 is 5, so L equals 5. 2 plus 4 is 6. Now, is 5 times 6 times 2 60? Yeah, it is, because that's 30 times 2 is 60. It's really not as bad as it looked when I first set it up. Okay, a cube's length is 1 more unit than the height. A cube's width is 2 less units than the height. A cube's volume is 12 cubic units. Find each dimension. Again, geometry, you want to write out the equation. Now this needs 3 dimensions. It's volume. Okay. So length, width, height, the volume we have 12. Okay, now this all needs to turn into the same variable some way or another. Well, those is. So L is 1 more than the height. So you put height, work your way back. 1 more means plus 1. Put the plus minus after it, not before it. Okay, width is 2 less units than the height. So W equals, then I put H again because the height is the term. 2 less means minus 2. Don't be doing 2 minus H. The minus and plus is going to come after it. So in the L we put H plus 1. In the W we put H minus 2. And here, that can just be H. Nice. Okay. So now I've got my equation set up. I just need to multiply it out. So the plus, that means that's 2 terms. The minus, that means that's 2 terms. Okay. This H is just 1 term. Let's do the 2 by 2 first. So I take H times H. Then I take H times negative 2. Then 1 times H. And then 1 times negative 2. So that's H squared, negative 2H, positive 1H, and negative 2. These go together. So you got your H to the second product, and then you add those, that's negative 1H. And then your constant minus 2. Don't put equals, well, you're going to put equals 12, but you got to remember that has to be multiplied by the height dimension. Okay, see, I took this times this, and that turned into this, but then I still have to multiply by H. That's a 3 by 1. Okay, you can put 1s in front if that helps. Okay, so 3 by 1, you take all these 3 terms times this 1. So 1H to the second times 1H. Negative 1H times 1H. Then negative 2 times 1H. 1 times 1 is 1. H to the second times H is H to the third. Negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. H times H is H squared. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2H. Okay. Alright, so then this product has been figured out. 1H to the third minus 1H squared minus 2H equals 12. So H has 3 roots. I don't really need to find all 3. I just need to find one that makes sense. So you've got H to the third, H to the second, H, and the constant. So that's 4 terms. So you got to move everything to one side. So you got to get it equal to 0 first. So you have 1H to the third minus 1H to the second minus 2H minus 12 equals 0. Now, there's 4 terms, but I told you grouping's not going to work. Well, if grouping doesn't work, you do your RRT, rational roots theorem, and then the L if we have to go further. We might not have to go further, though. Okay? So, my constant's 12. The leading coefficient's 1. Factors of 12, 1, 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4, and then you're just a 4. Okay, now if all you have is a 1, it's really just these with the plus negative in front. Okay, because you just have a 1, you don't really need to divide because it's just the same thing. Start plugging. 1 parentheses 1 to the third minus 1 parentheses 1 to the second minus 2 parentheses 1 minus 12. 1 doesn't work, 2 is a possibility. Two doesn't work, 3 is a possibility. Bam, 3, okay? So 3. Now, 3 is a logical answer. I don't need to do the L. I can just use 3 for my height. So 3 plus 1 is 4, so L is 4. 3 minus 2 is 1. 4 times 1 times 3 is 12. Okay, next problem. Length is 2 units less than its height. The cube's width is also 2 units less than its height. The volume is 45 cubic units. Find dimensions of the cube. Okay, so it's volume they're talking about. So volume needs 3 dimensions. The product of 3 dimensions equals our volume, and the volume's 45. Okay, is 2 units less than its height. Okay, so L equals 2 units less than its height. So I put an H. It doesn't have a multiplier. 2 less is minus 2. It's H minus 2, not 2 minus H. Okay. Then the width is 2 units less than its height. Okay, so that would be minus 2 again. Okay, so H minus 2, H minus 2 for the length. And the height is just H. Okay, so it's all in terms of the same variable. Now you just have to find this product. Let's start with these two. Okay, whatever we get, we're still going to need to multiply it by H. Okay, don't forget that. So H times H. H times negative 2, negative 2 times H, and negative 2 times negative 2. So that's H to the second, negative 2H, negative 2H, and 4. So I've got the H to the second. These are combined. They do not cancel, and negative 2 and negative 2 is negative 4, plus a 4. Now take these 3 terms times this one itty bitty term. So H to the second times H, negative 4H times H. You're going to put 1s in front of those, fine, whatever. Then 4 times H. Okay, so 1 times 1 is 1. H second times H is H third. Negative 4, H times H is H squared, and then 4H. So you got 1H to the third minus 4H squared plus 4H equals 45. Okay, multiplying's done. Now, H has 3 roots because it's to the third. Well, the problem is it's also to the second, it's also to the first, and we've also got a constant. Okay. All right, so you need to move everything to one side when that happens. So the constant just hangs out there. There's no other constant there. So 1H third minus 4H second plus 4H minus 45 equals 0. I told you grouping ain't going to work. Okay, I've told you that. I mean, there's 4 terms. To factor those, you'd use grouping. But if I tell you flat out it doesn't work, you go RRT. And the L if needed. Okay, if needed. Okay, so you go 45 and 1. 45 over 1. The constant over the leading coefficient. So factors of 45, you got 145. 2 is a decimal. 3 and 15, 4 is a decimal, 5 and 9, and then 6, 7, 8 are all decimals, that's just 1. I divide those all by 1, and really they're just these numbers here. Okay, so 1, plug 1 in. Doesn't work. This 2's not even on the list, so go to 3. Okay, 4's not even on the list, but 5 is. Now I go to 5. Bingo. So H is 5. I don't care about these other two. 5 is a perfectly logical answer for the height. So 5, 5, 5 minus 2 is your length, that'd be 3. And then 5 minus 2 is your width, that'd be 3. So 3 times 3 times 5.